coming back.
Right. So that's after the Hannah interviews, and now they're talking to Eve, who says that Hannah's disappeared as well. Right. Okay. So where do I go from this then?
So, it was Friday evening. We had an argument. He left. On Saturday, he didn't come back. I waited all day. He was supposed to go help Eric out with something on the Saturday afternoon. They had a job. He didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock, that's our local. They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning. It just isn't like him at all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again. So I decided to come see you. His parents haven't heard anything either.
I haven't been using this. What does this do? Is that just like saving them for later then? Okay.
I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married. No. I lost the baby. I had a miscarriage at 8 months. We carried on living at Simon's parents until, well, it was only a few months after. Then my parents died. It was the worst year of my life. A miscarriage and then my parents. Yes. I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back, me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there.
I'm not sure if I'm really getting anything from that. A lot of mention of an attic. Will that help?
Yes. I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had, we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play out there and make up our own stories. Could the hairs have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they... We have a lot of dolls in the attic. There's a Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there? I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge. It must have been taken up to the attic in parts and then reassembled up there. It's a beautiful thing. Wallpaper to scale, little furniture, the lights work, mirrors, beds, big duvets and pillows. We spent hours and hours playing in it, invented all these characters and families who lived there. We wrote paperwork for them all, passports, diaries, and gave them all really elaborate stories. Once, a moth got trapped in there. We'd left a light on. was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Arabian Nights.
I'm kind of getting more suspicious now. As two, like, wholesome childhood anecdotes have ended in either attempted murder or animal murder. And the fact that she's got, like, a history of making things up creatively. Right, well, some sort of mention about hair being evidence, so I guess that's the next strand, pun intended.
It's Rapunzel. The story starts when she's born. Mother Gothel, a witch, takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by the prince, and Mother Gothel is furious, so she cuts off her hair and throws it. Actually, her hair's already short here, so that's already happened. But she throws her into the wilderness, and Rapunzel is reunited with the prince, who's blind. But she kills him with her tears, and so it's a happy ending. Is that too much?
It's not how I remember that story going. Another achievement. Is it just for seeing particular clips? Okay. Right, well, I'll follow up on that in a second.
What kind of hairs?
Right, I don't know. Why were they showing her a picture of Rapunzel? Spell that. Yes. Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me. Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour? But why are you being shown them?
Did I pass? Sorry, I messed it up with all that Rapunzel stuff. Do you need me to do that card again? We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty ones, but the traditional ones.
No, Brother's
they were
Grimm in
dark
this.
and real,
Okay.
bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had this huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
That's not quite what I was looking for. Okay, what's this one?
He has a wallet, a huge, silly thing, leather, real leather, I think. He packs it full of stuff, business cards, receipts, lottery tickets. He always carries it in his back pocket. I think that's why he's got a bad back. He sets the discs. I haven't seen it, so he must have it on him. He always takes it out of his back pocket before then he comes in, if he's in the house.
I haven't got anything else to look for, have I? No. I assume that's just this. Oh no, what? Ah, right, okay. So this is presumably all the footage and how much of it I've seen. Right, okay. It seems less than half of what's available. Anything in recycle bin?
Oh, right, okay. Well, I can't really do a single player, can I? I'm fairly sure that I've played this in some other form at some point. Yeah, okay, that's not really important. Oh yeah, murder investigation. Sorry, that's right. Is there any actual mention of them being twins then?
Twins? Really? Are you really asking me that question?
Yeah, you're not really answering it, are you?
Are you out of your mind? Twins?
Still not answering. About Evie, she can answer.
Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion. There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people, more important than the other characters in their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princesses. We had a poster of Princess Diana from the newspaper up in our attic. Had pride of place. And underneath we used to put all our special things. When her engagement was announced, we were obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of drew a line under things.
Okay. Not particularly helpful. Yeah, okay, so that's definitely what it is. So, I guess looking into Florence and the machine next, the midwife.
Florence raised me in her home. I never left it. She kept me out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window and seeing her across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me.
I'm getting more background information, but not really any close. I'm sort of diverted away from the murder at the moment, aren't we?
Florence was a warm, kind person. But she was broken, I guess. When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin with other stuff in it. Older papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story wasn't there.
Ooh, roll credits.
I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand, I guess. I just put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. Well, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, you married for life and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. One of the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know.
Right, so that's Eve. But I noticed that she's also wearing the same necklace that Hannah was. Interesting.
It was just me and her. It was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and I'm going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember that I read when I was a child. Maybe I misread, maybe I misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
I wonder if there's actually a reference to that. I'm just reading too much into it. I'm reading too much into it. Okay. So, I'm going to try and get back on track. So let's look into what we're actually here for.
Yeah. They'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me, I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck. That's all that matters really, the baby. Simon's dead, but the baby, that's how he will live on. Our baby.
So I'm just trying to process this. So was there another pregnancy then? Just before he died?
You're reaching here. Oh, I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon is dead. But I have my baby to care for. Why are you trying to make me sad? Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs? You cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
Okay, well I don't know where that's coming from, but what is interesting is she said that she'd never taken anything from anyone. Didn't she admit to stealing earlier? To go to the... try and get behind the scenes at a Bob Dylan thing?
It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets. It doesn't have anything to do with what happened to Simon. No one murdered my husband because he cheated his expenses for a romantic weekend in Oxford.
Oh, that's not good. He's just crashed. Technical difficulties.